I'm actor Louis Stannett, and I'm here for BritFlicks today to talk to two filmmakers who I know personally about their upcoming feature film, romantic drama Iceland is Best. So, without further ado, you've got Will RC and Dankuro here from No Reservations. Okay, so like most first feature films, Iceland is Best is low budget, which means that it has a mix of established and up-and-coming names. But what is really unusual about this film is the fact that No Reservations have chosen to film on 35mm, and they've taken the ambitious task of shooting in Iceland, which is almost unheard of in the last 10 years for a film with this type of budget. It's also a film which is coming across in this new way of filmmaking where you're appreciating what film can still achieve. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about, is mostly filming on film as opposed to being digital about it. So now that 2020 is fully underway and film has kind of found its place again in these weird times, I kind of want to find out what particularly inspired you guys to film on film, and how does that come around your way of filmmaking? So how does that suit you?
Well, interesting enough, I guess to kick it off with, Will and myself had a different opinion. What format this film was going to be shot on.
Yeah, classically, the way that I was thinking about it was you hear 35mm film, you think expensive. And while that's not entirely untrue, there is absolutely a way that, and I believe we found it, to shoot on 35mm and make it fit pretty much whatever budget you need it to do. Yeah. And we definitely got lucky because I think, as you say, there aren't many outfits like us out there trying to shoot this stuff on 35mm. And so everyone involved, from the companies that we got the kit from to the Kodak and obviously Panavision, where we got the cameras from, were Cinelab, of course, Cinelab, the wonderful Cinelab, were so supportive, and they so wanted us to succeed and prove that this could be done, that they, bless them, they really helped us through right from the start right the way through to the very end.
And they held hands with us to make sure that we delivered in good time and with appropriate.
Absolutely. And it wasn't until Dan is right to say that we did have a differing of opinion, and I wouldn't say dead against the idea, but I was definitely a hurdle to get over for these guys.
Yeah. I mean, as you do. I mean, it's only normal, I guess. That with a relatively low budgeted film, 35mm.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
Yeah,
and we were still, we were still learning. This was our first feature film that was ours. We were raising the finance for it. We were, editing the script and working on that alongside Max, the director, and also Gareth Jones, our exec. And so we were kind of still doing a bit of everything, and I think there was in the back of my mind certainly was a sort of an element of a film school attitude still, although it's been a long time since I was there. But also that ambition that I think both found when we were at film school, to think, well, there must be a better way to do this, and so navigating through that was where the really interesting stuff happened. But it wasn't until the year before we shot the film, Dan and Max, you guys went out to Iceland to shoot this sort of mood reel, and they took the cameras out there. They took different film stocks, which I'll let Dan bore you with, but just to see which was the one that we wanted to use. And when that footage came back and it was scanned and graded and dealt with properly, and I was still grumbling this entire time, and I watched this stuff and I swear to God I was in tears. It was absolutely beautiful, and at that point I was kind of that was me.
So was that the decision maker for why you decided to shoot in 35 as opposed to like Super 16, which traditionally is a lot easier?
I love Super 16.
Yeah, by all means we both do. But I think being a theatrical film, and then also, I guess 16mm still is grainy to an extent where I think 35mm can be a bit more forgiving than 16mm, where you've got a bit more scope for a room for error, should I say? I think it was the right choice to shoot it on 35mm.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think when I think of 16mm, I think of those sort of Brit indie films going back to the late 70s and through to the 90s, which is great. And you know, they're stunning films. And for some reason, that stock to me seems to fit the countryside here really, really well. You go to Iceland, where the landscape is, I mean, you can't think of an adjective that is really ludicrous enough to explain just how dramatic and stunning it is. You get that into, well, I mean, the size of the cell that you've got on a 35mm camera, and the colours that you get.
We managed to do on anamorphic.
So it's beautiful.
So as for landscaping wise and country wise, how was it actually filming on a budget in Iceland? Like, can you give any tips for young filmmakers?
Do not do it in November.
Was it too cold?
It's either you're stupid or brave, as the people will say.
It's a very fine line.
So lots of winter jackets, that's what we're saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, so fortunately, and this is a great time to plug one of our great supporters, is a company called 66 Degrees North, which is, imagine a sort of outdoors clothing company, but, designed for the Icelandic winter, which is nothing short of apocalyptic. And these jackets are incredible. And they, they were a supporter from really very early on, and they came with a truckload of jackets for all the crew and all the cast and everything. I've still got mine. You can't wear them in England, even
it's just too hot.
in the depths of our winter. You can't wear more than a t-shirt underneath.
It's like wearing a sauna jacket.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. So that was very helpful. But nonetheless, the conditions were brutal.
Yeah. And then, if you don't like the weather, you wait 5 minutes, you get something else.
Yes, exactly. It's so changeable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 4 seasons in not even a day, it's an hour.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then going back to No Reservations, what made you two want to set up No Reservations?
I think arrogance and hubris. So like I said, Dan and I met at film school, and we... it's difficult to say without being rude about people, because I'm certainly not trying to be rude about people, but film students are a certain breed of person.
Yeah,
and Dan and I were really fortunate, I think, to find each other.
Quite early on.
Yeah, quite early on. And we just, we got on well as friends, and we have done ever since. But also we were both inspired to work, I guess is the point. And we weren't really satisfied just hanging around and doing what was on the curriculum, and so we wanted to get out there and do other things, and we had grand plans. And I do remember I always had this pipe dream, which I still think is a bit of a pipe dream, but my to have a company that is financially independent to the point where we can say, right, this script, we like it, we want to shoot it, we make 10 or 12 phone calls, we've got all the crew lined up, we've got a director if we need it, we've got some actors who are interested, and we've got it doesn't matter because we've got £500,000 here that we can put down right at the front. That's the company's money, so we are fully invested literally in these projects. And then that's that first chunk of cash. They always say the first chunk is the most difficult to get, and that's absolutely the truest thing. But if we can do that, then it solves so many of our problems. And I always thought this was a bit of a ridiculous dream to have, and I must have been a bit drunk or something. And I said it to Dan, thinking,
you still are.
Yeah, I still am a bit drunk. But,
we are.
It's the ability to pick and choose what you want to do and what you're going to enjoy.
And have that freedom to do it. And it was one of those things I kind of kept it to myself. It felt like a bit of a silly ambition, or an unachievable ambition, and I just let it slip to Dan. We were chatting at one point. You were like, "Yeah, I've thought exactly the same thing," and I realised I found the idiot who
when Harry met Sally. That's what it is.
Well, it's a bit like blind leading the blind.
Well, absolutely.
So with No Reservations, what's your guys' aims for the company? What's your aims for it?
Well, ultimately, I guess the title or the name of the company is that we're not holding any specific reservations for what we out to get, but something that attracts us, that we can have fun with, and something that we think that we can make it well.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Quality is always. Yeah. Dan will roll his eyes at this. I'm a huge fan of zombie films, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
So am I.
Exactly. And I've got who isn't? I mean, they're great. I'm super excited about the idea of doing that. But you better believe that when we do it, it will be of the highest quality that we possibly can. We'll never settle for anything less than we know is our absolute best. And that's, part of our challenge is, first of all, bringing that from us, but also then getting that out of the people that we're working with. And we've been incredibly lucky.
And finding talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's meeting like-minded people who have the same mentality going towards it, isn't it?
Exactly. We're not in this for the short term. And I was having this conversation with somebody just yesterday. One of the biggest hurdles that I found, certainly being an independent producer, is trying to convince somebody that you're not out to screw them over and you're not out to muck around, because people just assume that you are, because there have been so many people who've done that in the past, and that's so you understand people's reticence when you go to them 9 times out of 10 asking for a favour, which is what we're doing most of the time. And so I think that's certainly, I think Iceland's Best has gone a long way for us to proving that point, that we're not a fly-by-night outfit. We're here to do this, and we want to do it properly. And I think with the quality of the content that we've got lined up, I hope that will continue to serve to prove that point. Yeah,
and well, you've definitely got off to a brave start as well. It's a good start. It's a solid start. Yeah. It's not like you haven't shied away at anything. Almost, you've let your mentality kind of speak for itself. So I think it's good, but I like it. That's what I'm saying. I'm all in for it.
Oh, we got Louis' vote. That's fantastic.
We got my vote. It's all right.
I bought you enough drinks, mate. Yeah, you deserve it.
So, what do you guys? You've answered loads of my questions, to be fair. Like already, I was going to ask how you met. I was going to ask what the aim for the company is, not what your aim for the company is, what the company's aim is. But you've already said is freedom of filmmaking, and
that's our ultimate.
Yeah, goal, exactly, and freedom of picking and choosing what you want to do and producing it to the highest quality you guys can, which is good. What do you guys think about the British indie film scene at the moment?
To be honest, I don't think I'm that knowledgeable on how that scene really is. I guess we're in our own bubble.
I think so. Trying to compare yourselves against other people, I think, is a bit of a fool's errand. I think in this business, I found that you come across a lot of people who have this attitude that filmmaking is a bit like mass, where whatever's created means something else has to be destroyed, and so they have this attitude where if you're going out to make a film, that means I can't. And when it comes to finance, that is obviously true. Finance is finite and is difficult to get a hold of. But generally speaking, that's never really the attitude that we've had.
No, we're happy to help along any filmmakers that we...
Because apart from anything else, we end up reading so many scripts, and we meet so many people, meet so many other filmmakers, so many other producers and writers and directors, and we end up reading their scripts because there's nothing that we love more than reading scripts, and so we see all this stuff, and if we can help, we can. If we like it, enough, we'll take it on and see what we can do with it if they want us to. But if it's not necessarily something for us, we can say, you've got to speak to this person, speak to that person. At some point, we would quite like to see a movie that we don't know the ending of, because we've read so many of these scripts, which is great, and it's a privilege to be able to do that, absolutely. But we do this because we love watching movies fundamentally, and so I keep slapping people away when they're saying, there's a twist at the end of this one. It's like, shut up, I don't want to know that.
Well, no, I know what you mean. You want to enjoy something. So sometimes I'll watch something as an actor, and then I'll be critiquing the acting, and I'll realise that I'm too aware of what the actor's doing, and I'm not actually enjoying the film.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I want to sit down and not analyse something, or know the ending of something, or know the way the actor plays something.
It's the filmmaker's curse. I mean, ultimately, you're always, we will forever, watch something and go, you'll be like, that's a nice dolly they've got there, or whatever.
No, I don't say
whatever
that.
Nonsense. And I'll be like, that's an interesting company structure they have there. Like,
this is rubbish, Louis. I never say that.
That must have cost a lot.
No, but you just inherently look at this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, just quickly to address the elephant in the room. How has COVID-19 affected post-production of the film?
I guess we've both been busy get-go off. As soon as the COVID kicked off, we've also had an offer on Iceland is Best from a North American outlet called Gravitas Ventures. So we've been pretty busy preparing the deliverables and any materials that needed to.
Yeah, we were fortunate, I think. It it kicked off at a time which the sales for Iceland was already sort of going ahead, and we had been out and about and shopping around the place a bit. When production shut down, a lot of buyers panicked, I think, and we're thinking, oh Christ, we need content for the next year or so, and so that side of the business, I think, picked up quite a lot. And Gravitas came to us quite early on, actually, after lockdown started, and from then on, we've been hooning about the place non-stop just to get the film prepared. And then we had we've made subsequent sales as well. Fingers crossed for the UK cinema release, but certainly digital and DVD. Towards, I think, October we're looking. We've got Iceland as well, thank God, and we've got the Middle East, which is exciting. So, and then of course other sales that are kind of ongoing in other territories. So that's kept us super busy.
Yeah.
And then there's a second film which I can tell you about later.
Yeah. Well, we best wrap it up anyway, because we're gonna end up waffling for ages, because I could talk to you guys for ages. Yeah. So thank you guys for talking to me and letting me into the producer world, and we'll keep you updated shortly.